Okay, let's get started as people are coming in. So welcome everyone to today's webinar. We'd like to thank Technova for inviting us today. This is part of the TDD for Future, as you can see behind us. This is a series of webinars that Technova is doing while we're still online, instead of doing Tech Demo Day. So Tech Demo Day is an event that we do every year. We have over 50 startups. We have investors on campus in La Salle, and the idea is to celebrate the startup ecosystem that we have in Barcelona and around the world. And so this is hopefully still happening in October, but leading up to there, we're doing several seminars, and this is one of them. So today we have 4 student entrepreneurs here who are studying the degree in digital business design and innovation at La Salle campus Barcelona. I'm the coordinator of the degree, and the basic idea of the degree is to help students learn the entrepreneurial mindset and skill set. And what we have as our goal is that students don't have to wait until they're older, basically, in order to solve real problems and create real solutions, and maybe launch a startup if they want, if not, to create something real, maybe for an existing company. Okay, so it's all about innovation, it's all about entrepreneurship, and we have 4 students here to talk about what they've been doing. We decided to call this the Startup Sandbox with my good friend Fernando Torres, who's also a professor on the degree, because the idea of a sandbox in software is it's a place where you can play around with ideas and experiment with new designs, new ideas. While you're just getting going, you're not sure if it'll work in the real world, so it's kind of a safe space to play with ideas and while you're testing out whether it'll work or not. And that's really what we've been trying to do with this degree, and we're really happy to have 4 of our entrepreneurs here today. Okay, so I'd like to introduce Tadas, who's here. He'll describe he's worked on different startups before. He'll describe his clothing startup and his current startup, which is currently in stealth mode. We have Estel, Castellà, and Crasemann, who are working on a startup together right now. And we have Porras, and all of these entrepreneurs are at different stages of their projects right now, and all have also worked on different projects. So they want to explain what they're doing in their current project, but also talk about a little bit about their experience, what they've done till now, what's been hard about it, what's really helped them during this process as they're creating their first projects. Okay, and let's get going. So why don't we start with maybe with Tadas, we can go around and each of you can describe your current project, what the idea is that you're working on, when you started, maybe what stage it's in, okay? And just so everybody has some context. So maybe Tadas, you can start.
Yeah, sure thing. So, hello everybody. I'm Tadas. I'm from Lithuania, and I'm a first-year student in the digital business program. And currently, I'm working on a few projects, and I'll talk about the project that actually helped me to apply to the university, to La Salle, and another project that I'm working on currently. So, first of all, 2 years ago, I created a clothing brand with 2 of my very close friends, and it was basically a print-on-demand business model where we wouldn't have any stock. We would have like a design, and then send it to a producer, a manufacturer, and then they would just ship the product on demand straight to the customer. So during this project, it was very simple to organize it, but as it scaled and it grew, it got more complicated. And basically, the hardest thing during this project was to get everything prepared and set, and to really know your customer and actually have everything planned and ready. And in general, covering any project, I think the biggest barriers that we had was
Sorry, Taz. We'll come to barriers. We'll go through the projects first, and then we'll go
okay.
through these other things if you don't mind. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
So what stage is it at now? And you could talk about your other project.
So the project, I've closed it down, I think half a year ago. And I'll tell you, I'll talk about it in a bit. But just going over the project a bit more in depth, it was basically a clothing brand that we marketed in Lithuania, and the idea was to this was the very first project that I've ever had in any business opportunity, and the idea was just to learn the flow of how to manage something, how to market something, how to brand a company. And over the past, I think, 2 years, I've got a lot of experience and learned from a lot of mistakes. And currently, I've closed down the project, I think, about a half a year ago. When Yeah, it was about 2 months after I got into La Salle. And basically, what happened was there was a lot of orders coming in, but the actual returning customers and the amount of new customers and new products that we put out, it was like going down, like, I don't know, like downhill. And in order to really keep up a business that's already scaled enough where there's returning customers, it just didn't match up with the workflow of university. I did all-nighters for one day for university, and then another day for this project. And so it just didn't turn out. So it was either one or another, and I chose to finish up the first year as best as I could. And now that summer came, there's a few new things that I'm working on. And the current project that I'm working on is basically um, we have a family business of a car rental company and a car park around Lithuania, and basically we're planning to do a peer-to-peer car rental platform for people who want to, let's say, upload their cars, who are uh, let's say traveling, and they're going to leave their car for 2 weeks, or a person who's looking for another revenue stream, and they're going to be able to upload their car and people can rent it from them. So this is what we're working on right now, and it's a very early stage where we're just having the whole business model set up, because there's these type of business models exist, but it's really hard to, let's say, reformat it in every country. And currently what we're working on is formatting the website, how is it going to look, and how the business model will work with the current conditions, especially with the coronavirus. And yeah, it's a very early stage, so I can't really talk about this is what I'm working on.
Okay, so in stealth mode, as I said.
Yep.
Okay, so you're taking a business model that exists in other places, that's new to Lithuania, and you have a lot of resources already in place to help you from the other businesses that you have to complement it. Great.
Right.
So Neil, maybe we can go to you. You could talk about
Yeah.
House District Records.
Yes. So I've done a couple of projects. One of them being having a meme page on Instagram, just to learn how the Instagram algorithm worked, how everything how the ads were managed, how everything, just to get a sense of how the community and the whole thing worked. So then after that, I sold the account, and then I started with my record label, which is called House District Records. For those who don't know, a record label is a record that puts music out on the market, sort of Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all these streaming platforms. So I founded House District Records in May 2019. So it's been running for more than a year now. Our first release was in July 2019, so yeah, close to a year. And yeah, so House District Records is basically an EDM record label that we just give and provide artists, especially new artists, within specified genres that we play or choose to play. We give them a platform for themselves. We help them get started. We help them just provide a platform for themselves and to grow an audience. So we release every Friday. So tomorrow we're releasing a new song. And yeah, basically I started this label because I thought that there had to be a change in the music industry. As some of you know, yeah, Avicii passed away 2 years ago now, due to, well, he committed suicide. But it was all due to being under such constant stress by his A&R, which is his artisan repertoire, his manager, people just pushing him, seeing artists as a number. And I don't really like the idea of treating people as a number. So yeah, I created this label to at least try and change as much as I can of that. So yeah, as of now, HDR is running smoothly, releasing every Friday.
Can you share some
And
metrics, Neil? Maybe number of artists, number of songs?
yes, yeah. So as of now, we have 40 songs. So every Friday, that it adds up. We've worked with more than 25 different artists. We have a lot of collaborations on the way. Bigger artists are also on the way. Also, coronavirus helped us a bit when it came into promotion and statistics, and yeah, those are some numbers. Well, we got added to to an official Spotify playlist, a song of ours, and it's still there. A song of ours got played in Los 40 Principales, the radio, and yeah, a lot of national support also.
Great, thanks, Neil. And so both Caesar and Estel are well, they've worked on different projects, but today they're representing their current project, which is out, and they're working on improving and doing an official launch within a few weeks, right? So Caesar, you want to talk about Econid?
Yes. So hi everyone, I'm Caesar. I'm working on our platform Econid that we're explaining now a bit more with Estel. And we are pretty much, so when we started this beginning of the year, we were looking for something that we can work on and that we both are like really into and feel engaged with. And in this case, it was like the horse world, and we both ride since we're 8, so we're like really into it. And then we started thinking, and we discovered the problem that in the polo world, that it is a very traditional, old, like industry and very small community that has not been like innovated or like helped by any new technology. And we discovered that the way they do business, the way they sell horses, and the way they promote themselves and sell services is very slow and not productive. And we started thinking about how we could improve that and help this fairly small, it's like a very small community of maybe 15,000 people max, or players and horse owners. And we try to find a solution to maximize people's like effectivity and revenue at the end. And Estel's going to explain you how, like, what the solution looks like.
Yes. So hello, everyone. So once we identified this problem, we realized that we had a spot on the market for us because nobody else is trying. And so we decided to create a marketplace focused on polo horses and services around the polo community. So right now we are working still on developing the website. Well, it's almost finished, and we are launching in 4 days, actually. And so, yes, our objective is to finally provide this service to the Polo community, which is being kind of left out of this technology, and being able to provide them with tools so they can all connect with each other and have easier interactions and transactions, business transactions also.
Okay, great. So the two of you, you came to this from you've both been interested in horses from different places, right? Caesar, you're a polo player, and Estel, you've been riding equestrian for a long time.
Dressage, yes.
This is kind of a passion project that you both came up with together. It's great and really exciting that you're launching. So you can see that we have different projects in very different stages. So we have students who are at different points in their studies. They're all studying while they're creating these projects. Tadas is finishing his first year. Neil, Caesar, and Estel are finishing the second year, and they have one more year of studies. And we're kind of building as we go through this, and we have projects at very different stages. So Tadas, has a prior project. Now he's at a very early stage in the new project. We have Caesar and Estel who are just launching for the first time and trying to get traffic, preparing all the contents and trying to get traffic for their project. And we have Neil who's been going for a year now and is starting to see some traction. So one thing that we wanted to talk about, because because you guys are all young, because you're all creating projects, it may not be your first one, but you're all kind of really at the beginning of your journey, your entrepreneurial journey, and it's hard, and it's hard for everyone at any age, but especially when you're first starting out, and there's a lot of, you don't have experience yet, and you don't have as much knowledge yet, and so you're trying to get going. So we thought maybe you could talk a little bit about what the barriers are that you faced as you've, in this project and in other projects. Some things are about the idea itself, but some things are more personal, as someone trying to create something new. So maybe we could start with Tadas again and go through each of you. So what are the biggest barriers that you've faced as you've worked on your different startup projects?
So for the clothing brand company, the biggest barrier was actually creating meaningful products and how to market them in a way where they hold value more than the product itself, more than the actual clothing. So that was the main and biggest barrier. But in terms of let's say personal capabilities, it's actually planning your time and having the time to work on it in a day. Because I mean, a lot of us can say and let's say plan everything in our heads, but when it comes to actually doing it, it's very hard. And I think everybody else can agree that doing is much more harder than planning. So time management was a big barrier, and research in general is also one big thing when it comes to actually let's say finding a solution, or in my terms finding let's say new materials for a product, or a new channel to market the brand. So everything seems clear in your head, and when you come with when you face a problem or something arises that you didn't expect, it is all come to the lack of research or the lack of preparation that you had. So that was the two main things that were the biggest barriers right now.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, research is a tough one, but it's always tough to know what you don't know, right? Eventually you have to put it out there, and that's when you find out, maybe I should have done more research on this, but that's why it's an iterative process that we go through. So great, thank you, Tadas. Maybe go in the same order. Neil, do you want to take this one? What are the biggest barriers you faced?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Sorry, but before you start, one thing I wanted to say to everyone who's out there, if you wanted to put different messages, different questions that you have as these guys are talking, if you think of something that you'd like to ask them, please put it in the chat, and later on when we have some time, maybe we can go through some of those questions that you have. Okay. So sorry, Neil. Please go.
So one of I had not many barriers, but the ones I had, they were pretty tough. So for example, the first one, when it comes to the record label, it was getting adapted to the industry. So one thing is you liking the certain type of music, and the other thing is getting fully involved with the industry, where you have to network, where you have to do things correctly. Otherwise, um, especially in the music industry, it can go very wrong, because for example, just about 2 months ago, we had to switch distributor. We were using one distributor, but we saw that it was like we were getting more and more releases from newer people, and we just saw that that distributor in specific was not what we needed. So when switching to the other distributor, it was it wasn't very hard, but it was hard because obviously, as you can understand, different distributors don't get along very well. Keep in mind that they're losing a customer, they're losing a lot of potential revenue. So yeah, and yeah, that just kept me up a couple of nights doing research, reading how to do it correctly, how to not lose the music, because you got to think of switching distributor as essentially giving your company to someone you don't know for a week or two. And I wanted to continue the release schedule we had, and if we switched distributor, this could go wrong. Like we could be 3-4 weeks without a release. So that was a barrier, but it went smoothly at the end. And yeah, also another barrier is copyright. Obviously, in the music industry, if you don't know about copyright, you don't belong in the music industry. If you don't know about copyright, we've had some problems with copyright, especially at the beginning. People sending us their music, which was stolen, and getting an email 2 or 3 days later from a very nice and bigger company telling you, not in not in a very pretty way, to remove the music, or in 7 days we'll have our lawyers contact you. So yeah, that's not cool. But yeah, those are the main barriers I had to
Okay, so
go through.
a really common one, is about music, but maybe not the industry.
Mhm.
So how did you find out about the industry? Is it just doing research, trial and error, through finding partners, or because
Yeah,
distribution is also a partner question, right?
yeah,
Finding
distribution
the
is
right.
also a partner. Distributor, the first one we had, really helped me adapt and see how things work, because there's different, as in any business, there's different codes within. So there's the ISRC, which is a code for a song, blah 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 blah. And the first distributor made it look very simple. And now that we switched to the other distributor, um, I can understand better what what it is. But yeah, mainly the distributor. Also reading a lot. I read a lot, and also a lot of YouTube. Also, but good YouTube. You need to be selective.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's a good point to say that you have a lot of resources out there.
Hmm.
Now more than ever, the resources are out there to learn about what's happening in whatever sector you want to be in. It always helps to have good partners, and it's hard to know who's a good partner. It's like I'm drinking out of my brother's company's water bottle, eco vessel, and when he first started manufacturing in China, it was a big problem. So that's tough. Okay,
Yeah.
great. But you've survived. You made it through it. That's a
Yeah.
good deal. Great. So maybe Caesar and then Estel.
Sure. What about the questions? When do we go through them, or
Sorry.
simultaneously? The questions that are being asked, do we answer them at the same time, or?
No, we'll come back to them. We'll come back to them later when we have some time, just to get some going.
Okay.
So for now, let's talk about your biggest barriers and.
Sure. So the biggest barriers I've had in my life, or like especially regarding projects and possible ideas, were doubts. I've had multiple, in my opinion, good ideas in my life, but like the doubts I had were usually stronger than the belief. And I think it's just like these doubts come up naturally. I think everybody has them, but because it's like usually when you do like work on a startup or something that hasn't been done before, is that you kind of have to step out of your comfort zone multiple times, constantly actually, and you're kind of wandering in the dark. Like it's not that you know where the start line is and you know the road and you finish. It's usually like walking through a dark room, and like you could step on a Lego piece or something. I think it's similar to that. And you never know if you're doing things correctly, you know, like there are always two ways to go, and you always have to choose one, and you like nobody tells you if it's right or wrong. Like you can't really tell. And you don't know, like you have this idea usually, or I start, if I have an idea or something, or like this I can eat, for example, I have this idea in my head, and like you kind of are scared that you don't make it the way you want it to look like. But I think in order to overcome this, you have to be kind of thick-headed or like naive to some extent, that you just like, although you have these doubts, which are like, I think everybody has them, you just have to overcome them and be confident about what you do, and try to stay positive, and yeah, and have someone that helps you, like a partner, which I think is very, very helpful and useful. So yeah, and then besides that, which is I think a bit similar or like in direct relation, is stepping into reality. Like having ideas and things and plans is always great, but like actually turning them into reality is like a very big step. And I think once you manage to overcome this step, it kind of starts rolling, like the stone starts rolling. And yeah.
Great. So one is about this kind of constant uncertainty that you have when you're creating something new, right? And it's very difficult to stay in that state for a long time. And maybe the second one that you mentioned, when you actually create something that helps to get rid of some of this uncertainty, you know, it's very difficult to know if you're doing the right thing until you put something out there and actually see how people react. And so but it's tough to live in that state when you're creating something new and you don't know how to interpret how people are reacting also. You know, is it good? Is it bad? Not everybody likes it. What do I do with that? You know, it's always a tough thing. Great. Thanks, Cesar. Estel?
Yes. So in my experience, I feel like every project you do comes with different barriers. For example, I did this e-commerce project a couple of years ago. Well, I started when I was 16, but I stopped a couple of years ago now. And with this project, for example, the biggest barrier that I had was consistency, being constant, and motivation. Because as Cesar said, you don't know the path, you don't know exactly what you're doing. And every time you get stuck with the problem, you start wondering, I don't know, is it worthy? Should I continue, or is it not worthy anymore and I have to stop? So from my experience, the biggest barrier for that project was consistency and motivation also. But for example, with the project we're working on right now, because it's a more complex project, I feel like the biggest barrier that we have right now is time and budget, because we're in this deadline. We want to launch in 4 days, but we don't want to spend money on it. So we have to do everything by ourselves. And this means that every step that you do, you have to learn how to do it before actually applying it to your website. For example, developing the website, for example, we had to learn everything from zero, and then that takes way longer than if you could hire someone to do it by yourself. So yeah, I would say that is the main barrier that we're struggling with right now. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Estel. So yeah, we have a range of different things. Clearly, Most startups, most people who are young, you have more time than money. You feel like you don't have time, but later on you realize how much time you actually had. But money is definitely a challenge, and you know, in this whole aspect of uncertainty and lack of knowledge, you know, you have all of these things. One thing we wanted to do here as a bit of an exercise to get the people we have listening out there in the audience involved is we wanted to do a poll. So we have a poll about the different barriers that these guys have mentioned. And for the people in the audience, we want you to think about, you know, maybe some of these barriers, which of these have you experienced? Which do you think is kind of the biggest barrier for you? Maybe it stopped you from launching something, or maybe you've experienced it in your own project. So if we launch this, hopefully you can see the poll and you guys can vote.
I can't vote. I wanted to vote budget.
I see, you can't vote for your own. Okay, about halfway. Come on, a few you haven't voted. We'll give you another couple of seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's see. If we share the results here, we can see motivation's a problem for some people. Doubts is a big one. Problems with partners has happened to a lot of people. Budget, certainly. Planning and prioritizing. Okay. Nobody else has a problem with persistence and constant effort. That's interesting. I have that myself, and we have lots of time. We have more. We should have more time than ever being home, but it feels like we have less. We spend a lot of time on these types of calls. Okay, so great. Thank you guys for participating. We'll do another one of these later. So if we can move on to, you know, we don't want to leave this in a negative place. We have all these barriers that we have, but you guys have managed to break through them and you're creating things. So, you know, maybe you guys can talk about, maybe we'll go in reverse order now to mix it up a bit. Talk about what's helped you the most along the way to overcome these barriers and to create things. So maybe start with Estel and we'll go.
Yeah, sure. So I think the biggest boost that we had is that I'm lucky to have a partner and work with Cesar. So when you find someone that you get along with and that like you share the main idea of the project and you share motivations, it's easier to solve these barriers that we said before. So if, for example, I get stuck with something, he can always like cheer you up and make you feel better about it or otherwise. So yes, that's a big booster in my opinion. And also being curious about the project that you have. So if you're motivated about it and you feel like you always have an eye open and knowing what's going on in the industry, you always want to like come back and try again and keep evolving from that. So it helps you to be motivated and develop your project better, I think.
Great. So yeah, this aspect of team and finding the right partners, it's a huge issue that comes up over and over again. And mostly what we hear is we hear team is a barrier. You know, as on a team, we had problems on the team where I can't find the right partner, the right technical partner, or these types of things. So you really have to value when you do find somebody that you connect with. And related to this is you both share a passion, you share a connection with the idea, which is, you know, another one that we see in research on startups that actually manage to get going and to continue. You know, a big part of it is the connection between the founders and the idea, how passionate they are about the idea that helps, you know, when doubts creep in to overcome that. Great. Cesar, do you want to talk a little bit about your own personal experience? What's helped you the most?
Yes, sure. Well, as you already said, or as Estel as well, I think it's very nice, and I'm also very lucky to have like a nice partner like Estel, because it's very helpful in some situations when you are like or when I am like doubtful or something, she is very positive and motivational. And like I think it, like in general, or in this case, she really helped to push through and overcome the step of stepping into reality, which is like I think a huge advantage. And yeah, I think it's like a taking and giving kind of situation. Like someone is better in one thing, then the other one is better at the other thing, and you can split the work, be more productive, or and like just work better and more positive in many ways. And it gives you more confidence. Like this walking in the dark is I'd rather walk with someone else in the dark than alone. So I think it's like a great thing to have. And then the other thing I think is great is to see visible process or progress. Like when you're working on something that you haven't seen before, kind of, it's awesome to see the small steps. Like you're building kind of like a house, in this case the website, and you go step by step and you see more things every day, and like being added and functionalities, and at one point you get to launch it. I mean, you get to publish it, which we did I think a week ago, 10 days ago. That was like one of the bigger visible progresses. And then now the most recent one was like uploading the first real course to the website with videos and pictures and description, and like having the website being functional was just, it like gives you kind of validation of the effort, and shows that what you did is not like wasn't worthless. And yeah, I think those are the two main things I like appreciate.
Great. So I really like the first one because, you know, a lot of people talk about, when it comes to team, they talk about the functional, kind of the functions that they're missing. I'm missing a creative person, I'm missing a technical person, or somebody who's good in finance. And what you're talking more about is kind of complementing each other. When somebody's up, the other person's down. When somebody's down, the other person's up, and you could kind of help keep each other going. You know, it gets into a lot of the psychological aspects of trying to create something new, and it's tough. You know, there's a human element to trying to create these new things. We think of entrepreneurs as kind of these superheroes, but in the end, we're people dealing with some tough things to create something new. Let's see, and I like the second one also, getting over these doubts. It helps to make something concrete and put it out there, and to see it progressing and getting better and better. So that's great. Let me share. I'll share to everybody here in case you want to check these out. The two projects that we have launching. Tadas, the next time we have you on, we'll show you'll show your project, which is in stealth mode. So maybe continue with Neil. You could talk a little bit about what's helped you the most. You know, what are the biggest, and we call these the boosters. So what are we have the barriers and we have the boosters. So what's the biggest boosters for you?
Well, I have a couple of bigger boosters. So first of all, what Caesar said with the team, like I started off alone, and then I think the next day, a friend of mine, he's now a friend of mine from Holland, from the Netherlands, joined. We started growing, we started progressing, and seeing the team grow, seeing how we get along each other, seeing how we're all together into this because of mainly two reasons. One, because we have passion for the project, for the label, for the genre that we release, and the music. I like to think of music as a union. You know, music is a language of itself. You don't have to speak Russian in order to feel something or feel emotion listening to Russian rap or Russian music. This is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's one of those. Another thing that really helped me, that really boosted my confidence with the label, was when we released for the first time. Just seeing the song on Spotify was like a huge weight lifted off my chest. It was a lot of very joyful moment, and it did good too. This is the thing I wanted to say also. When you listen to someone like Ariana Grande, let's say, you listen to them, but you don't really care or take the time to look the label that's behind the music that did essentially all the work, all the promotion, the production, everything. And seeing my label being recognized by many people, that also by the community as a whole, the EDM community, is really helps in confidence. And also, last but not least, just about a month ago, I registered the record label as a Sociedad Civil, which it's the first step of having a more organized company, having hacienda behind you. It's fun. But yeah, it's a useful step that certainly boosted my opinions for the label.
Great. So some things also about the team and connecting with people who are also passionate about the idea. That's great. And then making it real. There's a lot about the thing that keeps you going, and the thing that helps you kind of get through the tough times is when you see this progress. When you see you put something out into the world and you see it actually getting accepted and getting traction, and people you're making people's lives better in some small way and getting some recognition for your work. That's great.
I even hugged my brother when we got added to the Spotify playlist, the official one.
Okay. Was that the first time you hugged your brother? Is that
No.
Okay, thanks, Neil. Tadas?
Yeah, so I think Caesar and Estel covered the same thing that I wanted to say. So yeah, basically, like having like close friends or close people around you, could be your team members or family and friends. Having a different opinion or a perspective really helps you into seeing something that you're solely focused on. So that is one of the things that really helped me, is to have close friends nearby and have their opinion. And it really opens up the perspective of opportunities or mistakes that you don't necessarily see. And I think the most important thing that really, I think, motivates everybody, and I saw this through the process of building something, is seeing change, is seeing the change that you've brought and the change that you've created. So if, for example, if it's with the website, having the first product uploaded, or having the actual just the structure of it is something that really motivates you and shows you that there's a result of all the hard work that you put in. And one thing that really helped me throughout even school, and how I use it every time, is just when I have nothing to do, I just sit back and just reflect on, like, could be the simplest things, but just reflect on the things that you've done over the period of time, and just reflect on the hard work or the hours that you put into something. And it's very obvious, but if you put 1,000 hours into a project, more or less you're going to be feeling happy about it, and feel a feeling of accomplishment. It doesn't necessarily have to be done or successful, but at least you put in the work and have some, learn from it. There's always a plus side out of something like that. So yeah.
Okay, great. So I like more on the people aspect of what really helps. Part of it is about your team, but a lot of it's also about your support network. Are you surrounding yourself with people who support you, or are they telling you that'll never work, right? Stop doing that and stop wasting your time. Hopefully you're surrounding yourself with people who encouraging you and pushing you forward and picking you up, you know, maybe not just on your team, but also in your family and your friends. I think that's really great. And then I, you know, I like the idea of enjoying the process, you know, even if you're not getting traction, you're not getting things out there, you're not getting kind of the reaction that you're hoping for, you know, so just kind of enjoying the process of putting in the work and creating something and going through, you know, learning as you're going through it. So I think that's great. Let's see, we can do another poll on this one. Yeah, somebody made a comment that they wanted to vote for more than one. I didn't set up the poll because Zoom is really complicated for some reason in polls, but we'll do another poll with the ones that we have. And you could only vote for one thing, what you think is the most important thing. And our panelists also wanted to vote. Let's see, for our second poll. I can allow the panelists to vote this time. Get ready, panelists. But hopefully I expressed this the way that you guys wanted it expressed. But okay. Faster voting this time. We're getting the idea. And almost 5, 4, 3, 2. So here we go. We had a three-way tie for first of working with a co-founder. Yeah, we have some solo entrepreneurs out there. Neil, you have partners outside of La Salle, which is great because you can't always find the people, you know, right in front of you. But you know, we see a lot of solo co-founders, and they have this. It could be tough. Visible progress is great, and also the partners and believers. So lots of votes for the support network around us. So let's see, we've got about 10 minutes or so left. We have a couple questions here. One really specific one for Tadas. What platform did you use to make your clothing brand? You want to share your insider secrets?
Yes. So what I used was it's a Latvian company called Printful, and they're one of the biggest let's say print-on-demand manufacturers in the world currently. They have a few factories in the U.S. and one in Latvia, and then they're opening one in Barcelona. So they had the best prices and the best variety of products that they can manufacture. And I live in Lithuania, so they're neighboring countries, so the shipping times were lightning fast. So this is one of the reasons why I use that one.
And did you look at it? Alex asked about some other ones like Teespring, merchandise by Amazon, Redbubble. Did you look at some of the more global ones, or?
Yeah, so I've looked
local
at merchandise by Amazon, but there's a more difficult process of registering and managing that I didn't really want to switch once you had like the whole infrastructure set up. So I've used and tried Printify, which is a very similar company to Printful, and they also do print on demand with the same scheme of products, and but they have a different pricing range and availability.
Printful, how do you spell it?
So I can write it in the chat.
Yeah,
I think
you write it in the chat for
for
Alex.
Chat.
Okay, great, thanks. So technical question. We have a question from one of your professors, whose question is, you know, what's something that you think professors can do to help you feel better prepared for entrepreneurship? Maybe there's something in what we've done, or maybe it's something else that we can do to help you more than what you've had so far. You know, what do you think is let's say, what do you think the role of actually studying a degree in this is, beside versus just doing it yourself?
Should I answer or should someone?
Sure, Caesar, go ahead.
I think, well, this degree, which I really like, is the whole practical aspect, which was great. But like, I think what would be nice is like being forced to like somehow enter the real world earlier, like what we did. I mean, it's also like the students like thing, but like I think something maybe if the professor or the course could give, like in the first semester, give already like like ideas or projects to students, and that they have to like actually do something with it. You know, that you don't start first semester with your own idea, because like you think you have an idea and then you start rethinking and then it's like not so great and you stop halfway through, and then, you know, maybe like just first semester so you practice stepping into the real world somehow with someone else's idea, because you don't feel so like responsible, maybe like small things, like a small project, but you have to like get one customer in order to pass the grade the class or something. I don't know, does that make sense?
Okay, so yeah, so take a first step. I find it funny that you use the word force, but we want you guys to pull, but
No, of course, but
okay.
like I
I
think
get it.
when you get into the first semester, you like many have an idea, and then you learn about the value, like how to validate an idea and prototyping, and then you realize actually it doesn't really make sense, and then you're halfway through the semester and you have to restart again, you know, which is not so great. So maybe like do one semester with a given idea, product, whatever, and then go from there, you know.
Okay, so kind of, yeah, smaller and faster, fast failure.
Yeah,
Okay,
but yeah,
right.
just so like you can't really go back and forth between ideas, which, and in our class at least, it happened quite a lot.
Yes.
So maybe some.
Yeah, well, it happens a lot to entrepreneurs. I don't want to name names, but I had a lot of people who were creating projects, and it happens all the time. You start on one, then you get distracted by another idea. You start working on that, put the other one down, then you go back. It's you know, it's a really common thing, and not everybody's the same, right? Some people want to kind of dig into one thing. Other people like having a portfolio and seeing which ones take off. Any the rest of you want to comment on, you know, what's helped you but in studying as you're doing it, or what do you think could help more?
I think it really did help me to, like, I at the end of when we did the last class with the certain teachers that I found myself that helped me the most, I told them that, like, your class actually helped me. For example, Monse's class, when she did all the WordPress, all the SEO thing, um, I found that extremely helpful because I already knew about SEO, but now I know 10 times more than I knew before. And this I applied it and it seems to work. You know, ads also, I'm getting more results based on the ads I do on Instagram, thanks to the class, but also knowledge. I just think that I don't think it's true. Knowledge is power, and the more you read, the more you, in my case, watch videos. Also reading, but not too much. I think that helps a lot.
Okay. So doing things that are very hands-on,
Yes.
you know, that you could apply directly to
Mm-hmm.
your projects.
Yeah.
Cool. Anybody else want to share on this one?
Yeah, I can just say about the professors and my experience for the first year. The like going over the whole process of having an idea and then doing all of the requirements and the tasks to prove whether it's worthwhile doing it, and if it's feasible. It really helps you to get around this process of validating an idea, where I think later on you'll just do them too, where you'll find the path of, you know, answering the question or finding the different elements that would, you know, prove whether it's worth doing it and if it's possible to do it. So I think this whole process, and for me personally, the first year was really helpful in having the right questions and not the right answers, if to put it in a short way.
Yeah, great answer. Thanks, Tadas. I mean, that's a big part of what, you know, you talked about research before. The most important thing when you're doing research is figuring out what questions to ask. You know, because you don't know what you don't know in the very beginning, and then you realize a lot of things that you need to find out along the way. It seems so easy before you really get into it, right? It sounds like, why hasn't anybody done this before? And that's a big part of the process, you know, is figuring out, well, maybe there's some stuff out there that's more challenging, that you need to figure out. It's just identifying these things the problems that you have to fix. Great. So we're about 3 minutes left. You know, maybe I could ask you guys one more question, and you can give a quick answer. And maybe it's a tough question to ask quickly, but you know, we work a lot on failure, and maybe this is related to Caesar's also. You know, allowing you to switch or not allowing you to switch ideas. You know, can you talk about some place where you failed in a big or small way, where you think you've learned the most? Can you think of an example that where you wanted things to work out, you had an idea of how things were going to work, it didn't work that way, and it helped you to take a big step forward personally? And I'll leave this one open to who? Neil. Sorry, Estel, and then Estel, Neil.
Sure. No, very quickly. As I mentioned before, the first project that I tried, that was an e-commerce, I stopped because it wasn't really working. But so I consider that a failure. But I really learned a lot from that regarding Google Ads, Google Analytics, how to like follow the process, how to work with creating content, looking for I don't know, partners. And so, although at that time I really considered that a failure, this previous knowledge helped me a lot on having a clearer path for this new project. So I really used that failure to work on this actual project, and it really helped me. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and what you call a failure, actually, you could have kept going with that project. It's just you found things that were more interesting, it seems,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes it's that you lose a bit the motivation to keep pushing and trying on a particular idea. Great, thank you, Estel. But in the process, you learn. Neil?
It essentially happened the same to me that what happened to Estel with the meme page. It just got to a point where it was boring. I felt forced, so I thought it was just better off selling it. But yeah, I just sold it, and yeah. But I mentioned it before. Copyright, biggest issue. Always in music, copyright. And yeah, don't split 50-50 your company. That's
What was it? What was that? Don't split 50-50 with partners, or?
Yes.
Okay, so find the right partners and get the right agreement with your partners. Great. Okay, well, on that note, thank you. Thanks to all of our panelists. Thank you to everyone in the audience for being here. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. You guys have the websites. You see that House District Records is out there, so go out there and give them some love. Econede is out there. Keep an eye out for over the next week. You'll see a lot of changes going on there, and we'll be back in the future with more of these guys, with more of other entrepreneurs who are working on this. So thanks again, also to Technova and the Tech Demo Day. A lot of the success is because we had Technova on campus, and they're a big part of what we're trying to do in La Salle and especially in the digital business program. So thanks everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
And
Thanks for
Bye.
listening.